Hello. So I'm coming on to do a video for multiple channels of mine, or well, two of my channels, and then I'm gonna share what I record with all of my platforms. So I'm not giving a name, I'm not giving a channel name, and I'm not giving my real name and things like that. I just wanted to talk about a concept that as an older woman I find is very important to human beings, and that is hobbies. And I know these days people are turning hobbies into businesses. I don't do that. Like, I've been on a journey of education for many years, for most of my children's lives. So they've grown up on university campuses, and throughout that time, I've had a hobby. So this is a hobby. This is junk journaling. I started it when I lived in New Mexico when my children were really small, but I was doing it from the point of view of altered composition books. So I was using composition books as the base. I never created a journal from scratch. I would only use like the decorative papers with these strips of double-sided tape as my adhesive, and then I didn't know anything about using charms. It was very fundamental, but I did a pretty good job. Okay, and I recovered, I think, a large shipping envelope because my mother had some letters from when she was a teenager that she wrote to friends, and they were found in her childhood home when her sister died. So she wanted something, to package those up with, and so I recovered this envelope and made it really beautiful and sent it to her. But other than that, I haven't done this in a long time, in years and years and years. And so these days, I'm always on, researching things I'm interested in: cozy living, simple living, even quiet living, but also talents that I've always had and things I might want to do with those talents. And so I started looking up the altered composition books, and I saw the term junk journaling. I was like, well, what is the whole junk thing about, right? It's really about not worrying so much about making a perfect product as using scraps, using bits of things that you have already. And even if you purchase things, knowing that you can also use the scraps that come about from, making projects to make new things. So I'm going to show you all this beauty that you see from a distance. I'm going to bring it up closer. So initially, which is how I am, the older I get this stage in creativity where I'm stumped. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, because I'm a perfectionist. I have to be able to do it well. It's crazy. So it took me so long to even try my hand. I had bought some supplies to even try to make a journal. I couldn't wrap my mind around. Let me show you the first little attempt, even before I made this little stand. And this is just a decorative stand. I now, instead of this bag of bracelets that you see here, I now have this stand around my lamp because I was able, and I just used it. I was able to make something where I just used it to learn how to do different things that are found in junk journals. So it's tags, it's pockets, it's tuck points. Like, this is a picture, but it's made out of, it's thicker than cardstock. It's like a glossy cardstock. And so I glued it here, and then I glued it at the bottom so that I could tuck, let me show you without it blocking it. So I could tuck these pretty little tags into it. And that's a part of junk journaling, is to have tuck points. And then another thing I experimented with was attaching a ribbon or a closure, and that's what helps it to stay, balanced so that it can stand. And so initially, with my first attempt, let me show you my first attempt before I finish showing you that. I did this, and it was going to be a mini journal for one of my daughters, and I was going to make two. And so this I made out of, the outside cover is actually fabric, okay, and I glued it, and it caused the cardstock to kind of buckle a little, and you'll see that in some of the tags. It's not perfect. And then but it doesn't have to be with junk journaling. Oopsie. Okay, these are the pages or the sections, which are called signatures, and it's just papers that I've turned into pages that I would decorate, see, and then attach them to the binding to have a journal. But I haven't done that yet, so I'm just gonna put that to the side because I just want to show you what is this? Okay, I just want to show you what I learned to do this first little attempt, and then I got stuck and didn't know where to go from there. And so, like, you can even see this is not perfect. This is spilling over from the cover onto the spine, but that doesn't matter because it's a junk journal. But what I was able to do, I just made, like, I have scraps of fabric that I learned this from a channel, because there are women that are making these things for Etsy for sale. I didn't want to go that far. I just want to learn how to make some really beautiful things, and then I'll probably give them away to family members and friends and my children and I. And then different types of trim I sewed onto these scraps. So first I sewed the edges of the scraps together, and then I sewed the trim to them, and then I think I hand stitched just to a couple of petals to add this this canvas like flowers. Like, it's not even burlap, because I do have some burlap trims, but this is burlap. This is, I don't know what this is. It's kind of a burlap, but it's tougher. It's like it's been treated. So anyway, and then I was able, see, I have a collection of safety pins that do not have the swirl at the bottom, and the purpose of that is so that you can get charms onto the safety pin, see, and it just looks really pretty. So I attached that there. I sewed some decorative buttons here at the opening and the closure in the back, and then I have this lace that I also am using as a closure, and you can even see like threads that are loosely that's a part of the junk journal style. So I attached the lace to the inside of the binding. So once I add papers to the front and the back and the spine, and then attach the pages, you won't even see this. It'll just seem like, you know, this came out of nowhere, and it's the closure. See? So that's what I did. And then I am in love with charms. I admire people's charms that they add to things, and that was just all I did, was just to roughly attach this. Like, look how that's a little sloppy. I didn't know how else to do it. And so that was my first attempt, and I couldn't move on. I couldn't go any further with that project, so I've just set it aside, waiting for divine revelation or something. I'm going to close this back up just because I don't want the signatures to fall out. I stay busy. I love to be busy. I really do. I've always been that way, which is probably why I was such a help to my mother and father when it came to doing everyone's hair growing up, taking care of our dogs, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so fast forward probably a couple of weeks, you know, I came to this project, and I had where did I get this? This is made out of cardboard, actually, and I think it came from a box from something that was shipped to us. And I looked at the box and said, oh, I could probably just cut off some of the sides and do something with that, right? So it's pretty thick too. which makes it very sturdy, very easy to work with. But it was initially something that laid flat, but it had 3 sides. And so I was like, I wonder if I attach a ribbon and just make it as a stand, and I would give it to my, one of my children, and then make the other one also. And it could just be something decorative to have on their desks in their rooms, but they didn't want it. Ugh. So I said, well, how can I use it? And that's why I started putting it there. But what got me unstuck with how do I decorate, what do I do, which glue is going to be the best that doesn't cause buckling, because as you could see in my initial attempt, what causes like this, because this is just like a thin cardstock, it does buckle when you glue it, whether you use paper or fabric. Whereas the cardboard is so thick, it doesn't. Like, I love that it doesn't buckle. I wish I could just, and I have a lot of cardboard for like tags, but I wish I could just have so much cardboard to make actual books. Now this one is made out of cardboard, but I'm gonna get to that in a moment, because that's my best effort so far. So this just represents, like I said, a couple of things I wanted to do that I've never done before, and I didn't really know how to do prior. So I took my time, watched some videos as I was doing it, and said, okay, that seems easy enough, right? So like with this is what we call a tuck point, because it's something that you would put tags in from the side. So all it is a piece of decorative paper. I folded the edge so that it would be shorter than the side itself. I put some stamps on it. So this is like a stamp I have of a flower pot, and this is a light post. And I stitched the lace onto it from my sewing machine. And then I have these tags that I had created, these cute little tags, and I can just put them in there. And this is what you would do for pages of a journal. Okay, you would have things like that. You would have pockets, you'd have tuck points, you'd have tags, you would have trim. So that's why you would have stamping. So that's why I did this, is to learn how to utilize different forms of this decorative art. Okay, and then I did, as you can see, I did stitch lace around all the edges except for this middle part, because I had already added this is called a brad, and a brad is where you have something that you make a hole with an awl. And did I bring my awl? Oh, it's in my little cabinet. I have so much stuff. So anyway, and then it see how you can, let me show you this part. You know how you have those little 2 pieces, and then once you stick it into a hole, you spread them out, and it holds whatever it is you've attached to it. It holds it in place. And so this is made for charms to hang from it, but it's very small. They have larger ones where you can make like really elaborate charms and ribbons and decorative things to go on the spine of a junk journal. But I just want to know, how do I make, how do I do it at all? What I learned is I don't like hanging and then using jump rings and things like that, because the jump rings are not perfect, and sometimes it can take a while to get them closed again so that things don't slip through. And so this took, it was stressful. It was stressful. But I love it because it's pretty. I mean, the charms are pretty. You get to see them. This is a stamp I have of a large butterfly. This is a I don't know if it's paper, as much, not thin paper. It's some kind of paper with some type of treatment that makes it really stiff. And so I just glued the back of it to the board. These are several different types of papers that I just collaged together, and then that's the front. And the same, you know what I mean? I did the same for all the sides. For this one, I think I wanted a pocket, but I forgot I was gonna make a pocket, so that got glued on without it being a pocket. And then I stamped a bicycle stamp that I have, And I actually made a pocket from this card and then put even smaller tags into it, which is, aren't they adorable? And again, this is what, I mean, whether you make a journal out of an envelope, yes, you can make them out of an envelope. You can make it out of anything. You can make them as small as you want, as large as you want. But pockets and tags are big deals, okay? Because you can do so much. And I'll show you in a minute what you can do with tag. This is not the prettiest thing. I was really just like, what am I doing? But I have evolved since this project. This was just my very first. And some things I don't even want to add embellishment to because the images themselves, like it's very vintage. It looks old and grimy. So I just like to keep it as it is. And I love those old papers. Ooh, get in there. Okay. And then I didn't even do the adhering of the ribbon the same way I did the little one. I just, like I said, it's a junk journal. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just sewed on my sewing machine and added it to the sides, you know, because I just wanted, and you can already tell how this cardboard was originally because it's already trying to straighten out. And so I only tie this enough that it's going to be balanced enough to stand and stay there, and it does. So that was my experimental, how do I do several things type of deal. Now when I first added, okay, and I've posted so many junk journal videos on my writer's Facebook page, so now I'm actually doing some of it. But when I first glued, because I glued this, did I glue this? No, I sewed it. Yeah, I only sewed it. Sometimes what I find though, because I have done gluing of lace, is that the lace can look much darker than it is and never really retain that beautiful feminine quality when you glue it. Versus when you sew it. When you sew it, it's still authentically lace, as you can see. When you glue it, let me see if I have an example for you of lace that I've glued. Well, it's dry now, but when, okay, so here's a cute little tag. Isn't that pretty? Let me see. There we go. That's pretty. So when I first glued it, and these, the ribbon underneath, I stapled on there. And that's just one of my favorite things. And then I'll cover it up like this is a charm, but I glued it on, you know, just so you couldn't see the staple. But see, there are the staples. Can you see them? I don't even know. Yeah, you can see them at the bottom. See? But so I put a third ribbon over the staples, but I glued it instead. And initially it looked like it was going to be ruined as far as the color. Nope. Dry it overnight. It's fine. It's back to being pretty and shiny and pink. Okay. So that was just an aside. Let's go to my new cover. So this was my first. Oh, I'm so happy with this. This is also made out of cardboard, and I can show you because I have not done the inside covers yet. As you saw on the little tiny one, I have added the ribbon across the inside, and then I added some papers here. Now this particular cardboard was a box, so it's used to being in this format, so it's not easily opened up like this, which it never would have to be. So some of the paper popped. I don't even care. It's a part of it being a junk journal. Plus, I'm going to put lace over top of that anyways, just like I have on the spine. See? And that was glued on. So I glued the lace fabric onto the spine on top of papers, and then I did collage different types of papers, very beautiful. and I added, which I added glued. This is a glued lace trim. So it's not bad, right? Now, when it came to the front, this is a little dark where I glued this lace right here. I don't know if it's because it's over top of a brown part of the image or not, but yeah, it does look a little bit darker than normal. But anyways, I wanted to have, and you'll see even when I post this after I've completed the entire journal, I'm going to show you what it looks like with all the pages in and everything. There's going to be all kinds of trim on the outside edges of the heaviest papers, just because they're very heavy, so they can, you know, they can hold that and it's going to look gorgeous. What I use is, again, these same type of flowers. I don't know the material they're made out of. But they're very easy to glue down, and my favorite color is turquoise, you know. So, and then these are stickers. These did not come on the papers, these flowers here. These are stickers, and then this is a sticker too, this butterfly. So what I did this time, I knew I wanted to add chunkier charms. I mean, I love charms. I watch some videos just to see charms. I just love them. And so I was trying to wrap my mind originally again around how am I going to attach everything. I mean, I can't see myself, you know, taking apart, because I have a whole long chain, so that you take, you know, one piece, you unattach it, and you have a certain length of it. So like I took this length of chain apart just to do the charms for this top one, and then this one of course is much longer and I still have a whole bunch of chain left. But I said, how about I woke up one morning, because if I can't, especially at almost 56, if I can't figure something out, I'll be damned if I'm gonna go crazy for it. So I went to sleep because, you know, my life is hard enough. I'm very hard working. And when I woke up, I said I could stitch it. I could just take some thread and tie it to the chain, and then, you know what I mean, thread on the charms, tie it again, loop it through some loops, tie it to the last one that I stop at, add some more charm, and keep that going all the way down. Or I could even tie it off, cut those threads, and then do the same thing. And that's why you have these threads hanging off. It just adds more character to the junkiness a little bit. And it's not literally junky, it's just this, you know, this culture of it's supposed to be. I don't even know if you can see. Can you see the threads? Yeah. So like you have these loose threads, but you also have these charms, and I just love it. I love the sound of it against the, you know, this is literally cardboard, you guys, like cardboard, like just straight up a box from Amazon and shit. Cardboard. This time, because I had two brads, right, holding up the charms, I put some tape over them so they would lay flat. And then I'm going to put paper over this, okay? And then, of course, lace in the middle over the bind. I can't wait to show you how I'm going to adhere, no, not adhere, how I'm going to connect the pages to the cover. Because there's several ways. You can do it like a traditional book binding. I'll just leave that out. Like when they first make a book. And I actually have bookbinding glue. Oh, I have some right here. This is bookbinding glue. So it's very strong. It definitely keeps, you know, once you dry it, it definitely will keep your book together forever. Unless, you know, time ages the adhesive. And then I also got this. This is a glue dryer. And so it's not high powered, but you do have to be careful how you use it. But basically, whenever I've made the tags, or any of this stuff when it was wet, just to get it along the drying process quicker. I would turn this on and just dry it a little, you know, very handy. Okay. All right. The second step in my process of making this journal is not the pages. You might have thought I was about to go into that, but no. I took probably more than 2 days. I think I've been making tags all week. So I've been making tags. These particular tags are not finished, so I'm just going to show you the tags that are finished. I have a few that are like little garden markers, you know, like when you plant a new garden and you put the markers in for, like, this is oregano, this is broccoli, or whatever. So this came from a decorative paper book with those kinds of little markers. So the really tiny ones, I didn't add any decoration to. I just cut them out and I'll put them in, you know, little places that I make for them. But the other ones for the garden, I just added like a little ribbon to the top just to make it a little prettier. And I really liked it because these come with a lot of picture decorations already on them. So I just thought that would be pretty. But you know, I didn't stop there when it came to the tags. I went, Lord have mercy, crazy. I did. I had a good time. This is probably, when it comes to the garden tags, no, because I have some other ones. See, that's more of what I was on. So I basically attached, I did a hole punch and attached a, I attached a eyelet, and then made sure that the lace, because I have thin laces, I have thick laces, I have burlap with lace on top, lace trims. So I pulled the lace to the front to knot it in the front of the eyelet, and then made a bow. And then I took my needle and thread, and it's not like I even used it to like sew stitches. I just used it to get the thread into the ribbon or into the tag. That's what I've been using the needle for. And so what I'll do is, once the needle causes the thread to go in, I'll hold one side and pull the other side through. And then I knot the thread and start, you know, just adding stuff to the thread. I make several knots down so that it kind of stops anything from connecting, so that there's some space in between. And and that's how. And then I leave the loose ends as a part of the, see, as the junkie. And so that's what I started doing. Let me show you what, I mean, you know, these tags are not like the tags here, right? Because the tags here, look at the difference. I'm just tripping. I've evolved. Oh. Okay. So I did this very similar to that. Probably just exactly like it. So we don't need to see a lot. Although this one, I did lace and that particular trim. And these trims I already had. I already had those trims from outfits I've made in the past. I really love the vintage look of this tag. And so what I did was what I said I had been doing, although this time I used the twine instead of thread. I used the twine, and I added a little bit of glue and just like wound my finger, you know, like rubbed it together until it dried and would not come loose. So that's very simple though. Let me show you. This is another one. I just added a butterfly and a couple of beads to a ribbon. But I love these tags for the way they already look anyways. It was from a particular kind of vintage paper. Then I started gluing beads to the ribbon without sewing them on, or just doing several types of things. Just, yeah, putting lace at the bottom too. I mean, you know, just the fanciest little. Look at this. Now this is a garden. This came from the garden papers, and I added charms and all kinds of lace just to make it beautiful. There was one that I just, yeah, I love it so much. Let go. Okay, get in the pocket. This one, as you can see, this curled because of the glue. The paper curled at the bottom of this particular one because of the glue. And yeah, if I tried to straighten it out, it would probably start breaking or something would happen. But what I did was I had this clear, decorative, almost like cellophane or something paper, and I glued it to the bottom, which is why it caused the card stock to become deformed. But I glued it to the bottom only along the edge of here, here, and here, because I was going to use it as a pocket, which is what it is. Underneath this piece of lace is a pocket. And I had already made this miniature version, kinda miniature version, which is very cool. This is, again, that clearish kind of paper. I don't know what you call it, but it has like pictures on it. There's some with wording, and then I added 2 layers. I stapled 2 layers of lace to the top. It's stapled, see? And then, yeah. And so that's what I'm putting here, because when I noticed after I made this card, said it has very similar little houses, so that just looks very pretty. And then I adhered a couple of beads and a couple of butterflies with thread. And so I love this. I love this tag. I hope I can make a pocket on a page where the opening is on the side, like I did here. And then I would just slip this great big tag into it like that, so that you could actually see the charm, you can see the extra, you know, it'll be pretty. Okay, let's see. My children they admire my creativity, because they've known me all their lives, making blankets and just clothes for them and all kinds of stuff. So this is another one where I have 3 layers of ribbon at the bottom. This time, instead of the pink being covered by more pink, I covered it with lace. So it looks very pretty. I wish this could show. And then this is like 3 layers of lace. And I stapled it to the top and added some charms. So the paper itself is so nice, right? So I didn't have to do much. I didn't do anything with this one. I love like this. This is how the paper looks. Like I didn't do anything to distress this except smudging it. Smudging is where you use like a brown or a black ink, and then I have this this rounded wand type thing. Let me see if I have it close by. Yes. It's this thing right here, and it's detachable. See, I have a bunch of them, so it comes off with Velcro, attached by Velcro, and then you can put another on, especially if you're changing inks. And so you put that in the ink, and then you just basically brush it along the edge, and it gives you just this old aged paper kind of look. And I've done that to all of the paper, because most of them are vintage looks anyways, and that's what, you know, is pretty. Put this away because I don't want to I just got ink on my fingers. Okay, let me show you the rest of, or some more examples of my prettiest. I have some, like the ones I put in my first little project, that are just pretty vintage tags, and it's just because of the images on them. And so these are all like floral. They can even be in a nature journal that someone makes. But yeah, I almost thought that said Pisces. It says Paris. These are some of the trims that I use. Oh, this one I love too. Look at the back of it. Isn't that a gorgeous butterfly? This one I love, love, lovely love. I love the trim. I love the charms. I love the image. I just love it. And even these, this is very simple, but I love it just because, and I glued these on. So there's no thread in how I adhered those charms and beads. I just glued them on. I put a double layer of lace at the bottom, and that's it. That's very pretty. Let's see. Yeah, this is the same way, except it only has one butterfly. But I love the paper, so I didn't really want to cover up the paper. Now this has buckled a little bit, but it won't matter once it's in a tag or a tuck point. It really won't. It's still gonna look pretty, you know. All right, I didn't know what to do with this because so I had put some ribbon and some lace at the top and I had stapled it and I didn't like it. So I clipped on a tiny binder clip, which I usually use, as you can see, to hold once I've put my signatures together of the papers I'm making for pages. I clip them together so they're not all falling out and stuff, but I also use them on tags. So I have this tag. It's pretty big and it just has a Tinkerbell charm coming off of the binder clip type of deal. So I tied the lace so that it would fall forward. I added beads at the top on both sides, so on this strand of lace and on this strand of lace, and then I also added 2 different strands of thread with the butterfly charms. And I don't know, this is not my favorite, but I still think it's pretty just because it has some embellishment. Yeah, here's another one. This time I used gold butterflies because there are warm colors in this one and a lot of lace at the bottom. And I only stapled the lace on this time. I love making the bows on tags. This one I'm not finished with. I actually glued this huge butterfly or moth to the card. The card was already like vintage Victorian type of style, and so I put some I made 3 holes and I already put some thread, tied some thread to the front of this hole, and I'm going to do that for all of them. And then I'm going to tie like a couple of one of the threads from here and one from here together and add charms. I mean, it's going to just be charmed to the max or beaded or something. Okay, so that's going to have a lot of bling, but I'm not going to add any fabric to it, just the bling at this point, unless I decide, like once I add the bling, if I decide to add the bling lower down and I just make knots so that it comes down here and then I put some lace at the top, I might do that, or even this black trim at the top just to cover up the holes. I might do that because that would be pretty. It always happens spontaneously, whatever I'm gonna do. So these are tags I haven't finished quite. Well, this one might be done. I mean, tags don't have to be the most decorative thing in your junk journal, but you do want them to have some character, so that's why I decorate them, you know, just because it's girly, and I love that. I love this paper so much, so I don't know that I want to do anything more. I put a great big bow of lace on it. It's a little thicker than the lace I've been using. I might just leave it like that, you know. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you think I should just leave it with the lace bow, because even when I move it away, I mean, the paper's so gorgeous. So anyways, maybe I could put like a butterfly charm, just like sew it on with some thread just so it's there. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's see. Yeah, see, that's pretty. I mean, it took me hours, and I didn't even realize hours had passed until I looked up and was like, oh God, My babies are gonna be home soon. Let me see. Yeah, everything else is similar to what I've already. Again, the paper here is the star. And then I did stamp this jug to it because this was like an open space and everything was so pretty. I was just like, I hate that open space being there. So I stamped this butterfly, some kind of little, I think it's a beetle or a ladybug over here, and then this jug. So that's pretty. Okay, so when it comes to trim, these things are not complete. So I'm not even going to show you because this was fun enough. When it comes to trim, I do like the wide lace trim because usually whether I sew it or glue it, I aim for this middle binding, almost like middle seam. And so I line that up with an edge. That's what I did with this one. I line it up this part with the edge so that there's extra hanging off, and then there's that inside part of the lace. When it comes to, I haven't used this yet or any of the burlap, but I would do the same thing because look, it has two separate sides, or I would cut it in half and add it to the strong, because these are the pages. This is very thick cardstock, see? And it's double-sided. So like the ones that are so beautiful, it wouldn't take a lot for me to make it add a beautiful little embellishment to the edge, and it's gonna stick out from the book. So it'll line up with this lace, all of the trim on the pages. You know what I mean? And I have this kind of burlap, which that's not very pretty. But it's just trim. It's just about, having a variety of things to embellish your pages. Of course, this is the Fabs. And I love this pink. So yeah, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a very fun part. It might even cause me some stress because I'm a perfectionist. And I might even stop here with the tags. I have so many tags, as you can see. This is my work surface right here. This is a crafting surface so that you're not putting holes in your table. Although my table, I don't know if it's it's old actually. So some of the wood, it has, I might get a splinter. So anyway, this is just a good thing to use when I use my awl. And I have to make holes in things. That's the main thing, so that you're not putting holes in your table. It's good to have a surface to cover it. But I also have a lot of newspaper for when I'm gluing. So all of these tags I reinforced by adding other papers to them to make them a good amount of thickness. Otherwise, it would just be like a piece of paper, and that's not gonna be very good to put into a pocket, because if it's thin, it's gonna bend. So anyways, I'm so picky. So yeah, I love the different trims. This is another lace trim, and I love the scalloped edging, which I have used this. You probably saw I have a whole bag of lace. I mean, this is full of lace trim. Oh, I'm a granny. I'm sorry. This is what I'll use for the binding. And basically, okay, there are going to be 3 groups of pages. I've already picked out the paper. This is called a signature, is each group. And the signature gets attached by the middle of each group. I have these. Okay, so I also have these cards that I'm going to add what is it called? It makes it a fold out. So I'm going to have probably a piece of paper of some sort that I glue half of it to the card. You can't even see this. Half of it to the card and half of it to the edge of the paper, so that it's attached and it can just fold out like that. Okay, And the paper will be decorated with some things, probably stamps and little bits of paper or something. And then this will be stamped, you know, or people, because you can, whoever uses it can write on it. And then I'll probably have some trim on the edge of it because it's a really good cardstock. But that fell out because it's not, this was in the front. No, it wasn't. It was right there. Okay, because it's not as heavy, or it's not attached yet. So I would find the middle, and like I said, some people bind it like a real book, which means you would take your awl and you would poke 3 holes, and then to attach it to the actual book, you would have to poke 3 sets of 3 holes. So it will be like here, here, and here, and here, here, and here, and here, here, and here. And then you would use this kind of twine, and I have a series of needles, of really large needles, and you would basically put stitches through the middle of this and through, you know, the book. That would come out, it would show here, and it would hold it together. And then you would do that for the other ones too, and then it would, you know, stand there. For my first try at binding, I'm going to use a very simple method, which is that I'm going to wind the twine around here, coming out here like that, 3 times, 3 times each, and then I'm going to hold it, and I'll move this over and get another one, and then I'm going to wind it around that in the 3rd one, and then I would tie the 2 sides of that, and then tie it around the middle, because you're going to have, right, a series of this not thread, but the twine just showing up as lines of it. And so what you're supposed to do is you tie a knot with the 2 ends that are left, and then you cinch it in the middle and wrap it around a couple times, tie a couple knots. You can add buttons or charms or something to cover that knot up, and then you can leave the strands hanging. You can add larger charms to it, whatever works for you. Okay, so that's how that's gonna get completed. But first, before I can even do that, let me show you what I've chosen. Stop it. I have to add trim, like I said, to my heavier pages. These are the pages I've chosen for this particular signature. This is just regular copy paper, so like I said, that's probably going to have stamping, and some stickers probably. And then I also saw how someone made cardboard so that you can put it in the ink, and then you can stamp lines for writing on plain paper. So I'll probably do that too. But again, here's some heavy paper, double-sided, and these are the types that I would have, you know, I would have trim on like that. Isn't that pretty? So, and it'll stick out from this grouping and then also from the book. Here's another page of ink, printer paper. So just, you know, and like I said, I would adhere this to this so that this is actually a fold out from that piece of paper. And this is actually a couple of pieces of paper. So I might just make that look like a journal or something. You know what I mean? And then it's just the duplicate sides of what I've already put in there. So this is 3 sets, but using different papers. And then I just keep these clipped together so that the pages aren't falling all out. And that is my project. Isn't that cool? So that's what I'm up to when I have time. It takes, I mean, let's see, this is the first half of my semester is already gone. That's how long it's taken me just to learn these little things, because I don't have, and then this all took place this week. I don't have a lot of time. I'm managing children. I'm running a household. I'm working my ass off in school. So, yeah. And looking for my dream job. All right. Let me know what you think of my creative pursuits. Oh, this is what I always was sharing with you. The purpose for me sharing this is so one of the classes I took this semester that I'm finishing out right now is called Media Literacy. And the purpose for understanding how to navigate and use the online realm is so you don't get caught up in the toxicity of it, in the grief of watching multiple news coverage about terrible events and tragic events. It's too much. You can burn out. Video games and a lot of social media websites are created to cause addiction because those people make money off of our children and us. So having media literacy is saying, what is the purpose for me to be online for any reason? And then to what end? Do I want to just be a zombie? You know, do I want to only use a very small amount of my brain power, which over time puts you in a mentally debilitated state? Okay. Another thing is social media has everybody thinking they need to be famous. That if you do one thing, you're going to be famous for it. I'm not looking for that. Like, neither of my channels is a famous channel, but I love them. I love the content I put out is sincere. I put good quality into it. When it comes to my Facebook page that I built up for a Black community, I authentically wanted a community, and I have that. Like, I'm so happy with that. I love that I've been giving digital marketing for years now, and people I think now come to my channel because they know me for that. I have people come to my channel where we have hundreds of people in common, hundreds of connections in common. So I know they're coming because they've seen me on their friend's post or something. You know, it's something, or because my timeline is public and maybe people are like, she has a beautiful timeline, you should see, you know what I mean? Because it's all about us. It's all about, on that page, it's all about Black people. So, and I'm going to post this on my tarot channel also, which is not only Black people, but I'm just using that as an example on my tarot page. The advice I give, the readings, the things that come out in my readings is not something that's going to placate someone or string someone along because I need to make money. I sincerely started that channel. Actually, God led me to it. It was the gentle nudge to start that channel because I was so concerned with the fact that women are strung out over someone who does not love them. And and that's the norm of all these. Oh, it's my soulmate. And you driving yourself sick and crazy over someone that has multiple people, including a wife sometimes, and you are not special to them. But because there's this twin flame craze that everybody thinks if they glow up and fast a little bit and prove that they can reach new heights monetarily, that they must be a divine feminine. So their masculine is someone that they love, that they fill their hearts up with. It's so, and I'm not saying I don't believe in it to some extent. I believe it in this way. Everything has levels. Love has levels. Accomplishment has levels. Talent has levels. Intellect has levels. The soul, the purification of the soul has levels. Period. If you have not found the highest level of reciprocal, that's an equal give and take in love with somebody, you have not found the highest level. And if you refuse to leave one person as being the height of that level, you just might not be as divine as you think. Because what you worship besides God is your God. Did you hear me? If you worshiping a hoe who's not even qualified nor concerned with marriage or a stable relationship that does not allow him to be a hoe in it, which means he's not going to honor, the precepts of that relationship, what? Every talent or every hobby that we have does not have to lead to $1 million. Everyone's goal is not to be a millionaire. The writing I've already put out, I love. And if it never gets acclaim today, I trust and believe somebody will stumble across it one day. I'm sure at some point I'll get them all printed out and bound. Something. But, I don't know. I think we waste our time so much worried about a get. I want to be the winner. Well, that's not divine. That's not love, that you just want to be the winner. Well, I'm finer than her. I'm finer than him. My stuff is bigger. My stuff is better. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's what Satan said to God about the angels. Well, I'm not. Look at him. He fluctuates. She fluctuates. She's not divine. I'm better than her. Okay. That's not divine. Just so you know. Just so you know. I don't sit up in my house, and I am a hermit. I love it. You know why? Because I love my own company. The only thing I need to tweak is how I handle stress. Okay? Other than that, I have plans to become more social. I'm usually a very social person when I'm in the mood. But for the most part, I'm a creative. I love to create. Not because I want to say, oh, look at. I don't mind sharing. I have that. I have that quality. I don't mind sharing. But I ain't on here every day trying to get some attention for every little thing I'm doing. I'm only sharing to say to you that if there's some hobby that you do, it should be something that gives you satisfaction and makes your life happy. What happened to the times where as women we sewed, and we would sew, if we went to a church and there was a pageant or something and somebody couldn't afford a dress, somebody in the community would sew their dress for them. You know what I mean? Or anything. Whatever was required, whatever we could contribute. We had these beautiful home crafts that we always utilized, whether it was making clothes or making pillows or bedspreads, or you know what I mean? But now, because we can buy everything, we don't do anything. And if we do anything, it better come with some money. So I'm just saying, I want to show you something that I enjoy, that I just learned how to do to the next level. And I'm not doing it because I cannot see myself doing this on a channel where my income is dependent. Unless it gets to a point where I have to, but this takes me so long. I'm getting older. I used to be so fast in things that I did creatively. I'm not that fast. And I don't even put pressure on myself to be. All right. So I hope that balance is what we seek in all things. in all things. All right? All right. Love you. Peace.